What is going on, guys? My name is Jason Morris, and today we're going to be talking about the A6000. And yes, obviously Sony has released a couple of new cameras, the A6100 and an A6600. Where does this fit if you own the A6000 or the A6300? But it is discontinued. The A6300 is discontinued. Let's have a little bit of a chat about this. So first of all, let's talk about the A6000. Now the A6000 is still in production, it hasn't been discontinued, but the A6100 seems to have replaced this thing. Now it is only 300 USD more than the A6000. So that's essentially for what you get. Is it going to be worth it? Should you upgrade from your A6000? Now this came out in 2014, whereas obviously the A6100, 2019, so it's a 5-year difference. You would expect a lot to be changed by now, right? Well, let's run through some of the specs. So the A6000 and A6100 both share the 24 megapixel CMOS sensor. The one big thing with the A6000, it has an ISO range of 100 to 25,600, whereas the A6100 has an ISO range of 100 to 32,000. So the ISO sensitivity is a little bit better with the A6100. They both have the relatively poor EVF of 1440K dot resolution. But one of the big features with the A6100 as opposed to the A6000 is that the A6100 shoots 4K at 30 and 1080 with 120 frames per second, whereas the best you could do on the A6000 is just your 1080 at 60 frames per second. You don't have any 4K in this. It's just pretty much what the cameras were doing back in 2014 in terms of the lower end. But 4K is pretty much standard with most cameras now anyway. So if you are a video shooter, that could make the important decision of whether you're going to be upgrading from the A6000 to the A6100. Now, one of the biggest features that is great for photographers is that the A6100 has the 425 autofocus points, whereas this thing is only 179 focus points. So you do have a little bit more edge-to-edge flexibility with focusing. I did find the A6000 was still sufficient with focusing anyway, but you do have the new eye autofocus system in the A6100, and damn, that thing is incredible. So for video shooters as well, the A6000 only does that. So it flips up. It's not that great. There are some instances where I've shot low, and this is very handy if you are shooting low, so you don't have to go on the ground like a sniper, get your eye to that EVF. You can just tilt that screen and take that shot. So for photographers, it is quite handy. Videographers, same thing. You don't have to, well, with video, I don't tend to go up, put my eye on the EVF. I like to use the screen. Just a lot easier and a lot larger to sort of look at. But the A6100 has a tilting screen, so it flips all the way over the top, and don't complain. Yes, it does block the hot shoe. There's a whole bunch of accessories that can put the audio on the side, so just get that. Don't worry about it. The flip screen is extremely useful. Otherwise, you've got to use an external monitor, which I have on the A7 III. It'd be great if I could just flip that screen up. I wouldn't have to deal with the external monitor. And once again, it does have microphone input, whereas this A6000 doesn't have the microphone input. So you have to record audio externally, which isn't an issue for me because I record on the Zoom H5 anyway, and then obviously my Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. But if you are a vlogger, you're going to need that audio jack. Now Sony has included in like their last firmware with the A7 III and the A6400 and I think A9 as well, they did the time-lapse function. So that is in camera. So you don't actually have to download extra software that you can chuck into this. It has it in the camera now, or if you use the old school intervalometers, it's up to you, you can still use that, but it is in the A6100 now, which is really great for photographers or even videographers who want that nice time-lapse function. So now that we've got some of the features out of the way, who is the A6100 for? Is it worth upgrading from your A6000? For $300, and if you haven't actually invested in the A6000, 100%. I think it is definitely worth it for the price tag. It does have a price of, I think, $748 at the moment, which is relatively cheap for what you get. It's definitely worth it. Now, it is the same as the A6000, as it doesn't have IBIS. Now, IBIS does make a big difference with video, even though a lot of people say that the Sony IBIS doesn't make much of a difference. If anything, it's nothing. I disagree. IBIS makes a massive difference in camera. If you completely turn IBIS off, do some video, and then turn IBIS on and do video, you'll see a big difference. It takes out a lot of those micro jitters. Yes, it's not like a 3-axis gimbal, but it is better than having 100% no IBIS. But if you are into a bit more serious video, you might invest in a Steadicam or a gimbal anyway. So just to go back a little bit, with the A6000, if you've got the A6000 right now, should you upgrade to the A6100? Honestly, depends. That is always the answer, is it depends. It really depends. If you want to shoot 4K, yes, definitely upgrade. But it does have really nice key features that you can use for video. No, it doesn't have the picture profile like the A6600 does. So if you're not into like your full filmmaking stuff, then the A6100 is fine. If you're into vlogging, family videos, small little YouTube videos, that's perfectly fine. But if you are into some more advanced sort of filmmaking stuff, the A6600 would be worth it. Or for that price range, it's so close to the A7 III, you may as well just get the A7 III and go the full frame. And then you can start creating some epic videos. I mean, you can create epic videos with the A6000 anyway. You know, it's not necessarily about the gear. The gear just helps you create better footage if you already are skilled. So I would say if you don't own any Sony APS-C cameras or full frame cameras at all, and you want to invest into the APS-C range, the A6100 would be a fantastic choice, 100%. I wouldn't even think about the A6000. The A6100 is definitely an upgrade. I don't understand why they actually discontinued the A6300. I still think the A6300 is a fantastic camera for what it is. If you honestly can pick up an A6300 secondhand, you'll definitely get it a lot cheaper than the A6000 brand new or A6100 brand new. You may as well pick up the A6000. It's pretty much the same as the A6100, but it has picture profiles. I mean, no, it doesn't have the new autofocus system, doesn't have 425 autofocus points with photography, but it is very, very, very similar. Anyway, guys, that is it from me. Please hit that like button if you could. That would be absolutely amazing. Comment below if you're going to get that A6100 or A6300. Guys, my name is Jason Morris. I've got to get out of here. I'll see you in the next one. Let's get it.